so I'm going to show you how to sew the seam on a Cabbage Patch Kid. This kid happens to be a Jesmar, so I'd like to do a good job of it. I've been doing some repairs further up here, so I actually have my needle already here. It's in, it's ready to go, it's threaded, and yes, the kids make a fantastic pin cushion so you don't lose your needle. I'm going to be doing this around the camera, so if it looks a little awkward, that would be why. Once again, I have to tell you, this is the way I do it. There are a number of different ways to do this, I am sure. This is the one that's worked for me. This is the one that I could figure out when I'm not a seamstress. If you have a better way of doing it, go for it. There's really no right or wrong way as long as you're happy with the results. So basically, my thread is there. I'm going to make sure that the old thread from the previous repairs is either cut or stuck inside. I might cut this one off. But basically what I do is I go through under and just, oh my goodness, just pick up a little bit of the fold on the other side. Okay? And then I pick up a little bit at the fold. Now you can see here, this is the sewing seam. This is the seam I'm going to have to follow. So when I pick this up, I have to pick up at that seam. And I'm basically going to go back and forth, just picking up at the seam. So I go under, pick up just a little bit, pull it through, and I will eventually cut that little bit off, but not yet. And I'm going to pick up a little bit at that seam, and then at this seam. Now, how big you make your stitches is entirely up to you. I'm a person who likes little stitches. That's not really factory correct. They tended to use bigger stitches. Whatever floats your boat. I do use smaller stitches on the Jesmars especially, only because they tend to, well, their seams tend to pop a lot, and it just helps stop the seam from popping again. But again, it's not necessarily factory correct. They tended to use slightly bigger stitches than I'm using. You do whatever works for you, whatever you want to do. This is awkward around the camera. And whatever looks good on you, whatever your skill set will allow for. Sorry, I keep moving around the camera lens. It's not hard. I am not a sewer. Sewing machines hate me. I learned all this just from doing it. Now as I come to the end again, I'm going to run into their thread once again, so you have to decide if you're going to pull it out, if you're going to stuff it in. I think in this case I will pull it out. Now keep in mind, those threads can still come undone, so you don't want to stop your stitching right at the end of the hole, only because you need to have some overlap to make sure that the hole, that their stitching continues to hold. There's no knot there stopping that stitching from coming undone. So I try to go, half a centimeter down. For those of you working in inches, that's about 1/3 of an inch, just to give it a little bit of overlap and a little bit of strength, because you never know. Now I need to, now that I've got that done, and I am happy with that, whenever possible you should try and hide your knot. So I would typically take it down to this point here, or back up to right here, somewhere that the knot's not going to be as obvious. So I'm just going to run the needle down to that spot there. And then I can just do a little bit of a knot that's not going to be quite so, I mean, it's not going to be a big visible knot anyway, but just one that's in a spot that's a little less visible. Oh. All right, and again, kids make a great pin cushion. Tie that off. All right. Oops. I guess you didn't see that last bit, sorry. And she's done.